We know instantly when we read somebody's content if what they're telling us is real or if it's a hack, if it's a hack that won't work. And it's a complete waste of money, a complete waste of time, and the content isn't worth even bothering with. And it's more important to understand it in the context of your market than definitely don't learn anything from it. What I'm learning from it is it's not true, but it's what people believe is true, which helps me succeed. The algorithm is your mirror, not something to hack or figure out how to overcome. That is not how social media works at all. It never has. And I saw this with Google. The people back when Google started, the people who succeeded on Google did not try to hack the algorithm. They won. They didn't hack it. The algorithm is your mirror. The content is a mirror of the beliefs and the thoughts of people in your market. It tells you everything you need to know about what's real, what's not real, what will work, what won't work, what's coming next into the market, and what's going out and will die. Your content reveals more about you than you think. And as we start to break down and analyze the content in the market, you'll realize it's not a growth tool at all. It's a reflection of the beliefs of the market. It reveals the beliefs, it reveals the fears, and what people think will earn them attention. And now with AI, we're getting even more of this clarity on what's happening so you can succeed, thrive, win, and make the impact you want in the market. Very exciting times on social media to learn how to do it without hacking the algorithm, which is exactly the opposite of what really works and always has been since social media started. Think about it like this. We're processing as many as 11.9 million bits of information per second. It's just pinging, 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 like a computer calling a server right here. Triggered ping, triggered ping, triggered ping, triggered ping on social media. And I'll show you how that works in terms of impact on you by watching them project out through their content what they believe that's not true in your market. That's valuable information. The AI is speeding it up. So let's say we're going at 119 megabytes per nanosecond with AI. So it's going faster. Ping, 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 ping. And the content is revealing the belief systems of the market. Carl Jung did this with mythology. He wrote an incredible book, The Red Book. And that's a big part of what that was about. I wish I still had it. My niece took it. I had the original one. Got it from my father when he died, and she took it. I got to buy it. It's expensive. Great book. So what are they doing in the market? They're going faster in the wrong direction now. This is awesome. Look, notice, don't go in that direction. Who's winning in this dynamic? Those of us who pay attention. Who's raking in the money temporarily? The marketers. Ping, ping, ping. What are the marketers doing? They're analyzing the ping, ping, ping. And they're creating content and using the AI to create more of it to capture in the net and throw in the crab trap that they own. They don't own it, though. The social media platforms own the crab trap, not the marketers. And because there's no product, people can't get out of who put you in the crab trap? You did, because you believe content that's not true. It never has been true. So the info product business, the group coaching scalable models, the private mastermind communities that trap people in the crab trap are not even often owned by the people that have sold the stuff that doesn't even work in the first place. exciting times. So you have a choice. You could pay them so they get their passive income. They're even telling us this. They show a picture of how great their life is. And then at the end of the content is pay me so my life gets greater. And my answer to them is no, thank you. I don't want to do that. And I'm watching them move me towards their cash register and even telling me how they're doing it. And I'm like, how stupid could I be to believe that? And the answer is stupid. 3 years, I paid $150K. I added it up. It's actually more than that. But I thought, let me take the bullshit factory stuff only, the crab traps only, and just add that up. It was $150K. Now, there was other people I paid where I actually got real value from it because they weren't doing what I'm saying. They weren't. What's real and what's a crab trap waiting for you with the cash register. Now, if you're not careful and you do this and you're not paying attention, this will shape your business into something you were never meant to build that is almost unrecognizable at the end. And I'm going to talk about the trap. So the Lamborghini, have my airplane like me, the swimming pool, the beautiful family is one trap. That's this side. So think about it like this. The other side of the trap is spiritual development, family. We're free of the Lamborghini thinking. So let's call those people I'm free of the Lamborghini thinking. Now I have purpose, meaning, and satisfaction with my family, buy my stuff. At the end of this funnel, it's called a funnel. So at the end of the funnel, what's there? How do you know what's real and what's not real? What's there at the end? A cash register. What led somebody into the cash register? Bad content. If that's happening, it's not real. Oh, Larry, you already did everything they said and have it? Why am I buying their 150 grand? Content creator communities, private sessions with the, so they can move me down their funnel. And I paid them to do that. I'm funding their passive income. I already had passive income. So I'm funding their passive income and their lifestyle business, which I'd already done multiple times. My ability to go into new markets and succeed, I'd already done it multiple times. I'm actually paying them or buying their books, going in their funnel, or listening to their TED Talk, which funnels me into their cash register. What the? When I saw it, it was like seeing the Matrix. There's more to the Matrix and seeing the Matrix than this, but this is part of it. And that was February. I journaled it. I think the exact date was February 23rd of 2013. And I thought, oh my God, have I been had? Why? I went through this myself. That's why I understand it. This isn't my opinion. This is my experience I'm sharing with you. I have not shared one opinion in probably 3 years in my content. Not one. There is no opinion in my content. It may seem that way to you, but there isn't. If there is, you're not paying attention, which is most people. The more I optimized for reach, the more disconnected I felt from what I was creating. Why? It wasn't just tiring. It was distorting me. Only when I dropped the performance game in 2023. I'd never done it before. Performance game 2020 ended at 2023. Before I'd succeeded, I succeeded during the hump period. I did succeed because I did everything that I was taught until I realized it didn't work, because it doesn't work for anybody, because it's not based on reality principles at all. It's a crab trap for them to make money from you. Now, there's a high-class version and there's a low-class version. The high-class and low-class version people are fighting with each other in the marketplace, in their content. And they're smiling because they're at the top of it. And they're like, we know how to manipulate these minds. We know how to use, I talked about it yesterday. Um, I've been thinking about this for years, but now I can really clearly understand it. But I'm trying to remember the names of, it's in my journal here somewhere. Doesn't matter. I talked about it yesterday. So there's a whole video on how this works yesterday. But I want to explore in this episode 5 things. First, why optimized content can distort your business identity. Happened to me, not anymore. I'm free of this. 2, what your content is. I created a better alternative. That's the whole point. Took a couple of years though. What your content, and if I hadn't gone through that period, the 2020, well, I did the book as a business card thing in 2019, and that worked. And I got hundreds of thousands of dollars in retainer revenue as a result of that book, which was a good investment because if all in that book was about $6,000, but I already had a writer on retainer. So I had the 5 basic articles already in the market. So it was working. They're called the 5 sales traps. And then I changed it to the 5 revenue traps. The company's still using them. That's the passive income company I'm not involved in anymore. But it was a good company and I learned a lot about it. And we had a real service. It wasn't just a funnel. However, now I'm diverting a little bit, but I'll get back to the 5 points. But there's a reason for the diversion. What's the answer? Whatever the person selling tells you the answer is. And the more skillful they sell, the worse off you are if you buy. If the answer is branding, they're selling branding. If the answer is lead generation, they're selling lead generation. If the answer is not lead generation, content marketing, they're selling content marketing. The minute you hear that, you're in the crab trap. But you don't have to go in. Once you get in, it's hard to get out because there's a bunch of people in the crab trap saying, oh, this is great. Why? Confirmation bias. They're persuaded themselves that it works. And they don't want to unpersuade because they just spent 10 grand or even 150 and that, or even 49 or even $10 because now you're paying for their media buy. It's called a break-even funnel. So that's why I'm going to talk about the funnel sides because you got to understand both sides because this side is, these are people who don't have any money typically and have probably never succeeded big. The other side is people like me who've succeeded big and, you know, put in the category of what you call high net worth, not ultra high net worth, but like high net worth and have succeeded. And they're still going in the trap because it looks high class, but it's the same thing. Still a crab trap. You can still get stuck in the crab trap, even if you've made millions of dollars. You're still in their crab trap. You don't have to be, though. You can get out. How do you get out? Look around and say, oh, this isn't working at all, and leave because a crab trap has an open door. Just go out. But you got to cut your losses. Now, I got a lot out of those 3 years, so I'm not upset anymore with these people and how I got had. It doesn't matter because I learned a lot that allowed me to create my own pathways and my own company, the Entrepreneur Experience Corporation, brought to you by Red Pill Pathway, which was my experience. And there's a reason why we're branding it this way. Branding was not the answer. This guy wanted me to spend 10 grand with him. He's one of the top branding experts online. And he uses, you know, the famous people up on his LinkedIn profile. And he wanted 10 grand. And my partner was like, that is a huge waste of money for us right now. I said, yeah, but it'll work. It'll work. Crab trap. He wasn't in the crab trap. I was in the crab trap. So I got to admit it. You don't understand the crab trap if you haven't been in it. You can't understand anything if you haven't experienced it. It's not enough to know. Knowing doesn't mean anything. It's the experience is the lesson. And then the wake up is, it's easy to get out of the crab trap. It's a Chinese, I've read about this like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. It's a Chinese finger trap. People are pulling their fingers out. And this guy up here trying to get more money. Well, I'm going like this. And they're like, keep going. They're telling me, keep going. You can do it. Keep going. Keep going. And everyone's like, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Keep going. Keep going. And I'm going like this. And the money's going up to them. How do you get out of a crab trap? Bye. Okay, let's go back to the 5 things. Why optimized content can destroy your business identity. Now it goes faster with AI. How to use AI to have a business in 5 minutes. Okay, that's over here. Sucker's Gulch. That's, look, I'm 100 grand in debt. I got to get out. I need an answer. I need it to be easy. I want to have a family. I want to have money. Those people, right? This is the saddest one. And it's like, I finally want to be successful. Finally, finally, finally. And I finally got it. And I saw this person online on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or Substack, or now that's happening on Substack. Same thing. Higher class version. We'll get into that next. And it's like, now the promise of AI. Now, some of these are brands that are well known. The Nikes, I don't mean literally, but the Nikes of the market, the info sales market. They're doing the same thing with AI now. And I'm like, oh, you throw AI and you change the words on your VSL. It's called a virtual sales letter. And I'm like, I see it. I know what you're doing. Reminds me of Patti Smith at the Patti Smith concert when she was talking about the oil companies. She's like, I see you. I know what you're doing. I'm like, Patti, you're a badass. Way to go. I've always loved Patti Smith. Joe Strummer, same thing. The Who, that's my generation. Oh, look at that. But we got it today. Tyler, the Creator. We got, Taylor Swift. People hate Taylor Swift. I'm like, you don't understand. Pay attention to what she's done and the money. Pay attention. Oh, I don't like Taylor Swift. I like it. You're in the crab trap. Who's crab trap? The media companies. Facebook, Google, Twitter, the news channels on cable. It's a crab trap. The media industry. What do they want? Advertising dollars. They want your free content and your data, and they want you to be on their platform. Be on their platforms. Just don't be in their crab trap. Simple. How I use okay, I'm getting off track. Why optimized content can distort your business identity. 1. 2, what your content is really telling you. I know immediately what people are thinking when I see their content because I know the game. Plus, I know what they're projecting and they can't see. I read the content and I'm like, oh, you don't get it at all. Or I know what you're doing. 3rd, how to spot the shift from expression to performance. This is key. Not all this content is marketing bullshit. Or funnel. It's not all crab trap. Expression versus performance. When you feel resonance, when you think that makes sense for me, I get it. That's useful for me. Now you got there. If there's a hammer at the end versus a flathead screwdriver versus a chainsaw, it's not going to work because that person will have a confirmation bias themselves. They have it. Confirmation bias includes thinking everyone else has confirmation bias and not you. That's impossible. Everyone has it. How to spot the shift from expression and performance. You have to pay attention to yourself. That's how. How I use content as a tool for clarity, not just traction. I mentioned that. I've been working on this probably since 2012, but it really wasn't until 2013 where I said, my content is a tool for clarity. For who? Me. I just did it in public, which made it really confusing for other people. Don't care. It was for me to get clarity because I can't get clarity if I don't have a reflection to look at. Not from you, for me. Now that takes some courage. Not everyone should do that. For me, it was fine. It got me strong because I'm like, oh, nobody looked at that. Oh, nobody looked at that. Oh, nobody looked at that. Oh, I put a year into YouTube channel. I'm like, wow, I got a bunch of subscribers. My shorts are getting a couple thousand views. And then YouTube canceled me for no reason for a year. They threw a scarlet letter on my domain. My channel was everything we were taught is wrong. I left it up as an artifact, like for the Smithsonian Museum of Modern Social Media Influencer Culture. Google's been canceling people for years. Have you noticed? Finally, a better way to create grounded resonance and stay true with AI. I'm talking about, this is for sure. This show I'm doing here is for people who are tired of creating for the algorithm. You realize, crab trap, I'm done. Swim out, find your people, and succeed. Make real money, create a solid business platform that works for you, and start to recognize marketing is a business function, not a business. Except for them. Now, if you want to be a marketer, that's different. I didn't want to start a marketing and media agency. I already had one, sort of, sales outsourcing, lead generation company. And I worked for 1 million marketing agencies and media companies. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. And all of a sudden, I'm learning from people to create one. I never wanted one. Why am I doing this? Because I thought it was the only way that worked. I actually believe that. It's not true. Why? Because I listened to them. Create from a place that actually feels real. Who knows real? You do. What's the most important component? I'm going to talk about plumbing in a minute and landscaping. This will give you an analogy. What's the most important thing? A product that's good. Not just a marketing funnel system, crab trap. People are teaching each other how to build crab traps, and they call it marketing or info products. It's a big industry. Have you noticed? If you want to do it, go ahead. You're creating for the algorithm. However, is there a karmic payback for this? Of course there is. Of course. There always is. If you're not actually helping people, doing something real. Buy my hammer. No. Buy my flathead screwdriver. No. No. Buy my Phillips screwdriver. No. Done. It's not that hard. We used to call it opt-out. I did opt-out marketing, and then we're like, oh, we got to do opt-in marketing. Same thing. Spam is spam. My agenda was to get people a result. B2B companies, agencies first, and then it was tech companies, tech service companies, and then software companies and innovation startups and all kinds of companies. I worked with every industry, hundreds of companies, thousands of companies over the years, thousands. And yeah, I had a crab trap, but it wasn't an info funnel crab trap. It was, this is what we do, and it's for these types of customers, and it'll work for you, maybe, and maybe you, maybe not you. But I still am wielding a hammer, and it's still a service business. My goal was not to have a service business and not to have a hammer. It was to have a revenue generation platform so we could do anything that worked based on an analysis of that customer, that client, that company, and what would actually work for them as opposed to what I needed it to work so they buy from me. It's hard to get that for under 10 grand a month. And that's what they were paying us, 8 to 10 grand a month. We moved up from the 4 or 5 grand a month. That's agencies into the higher end of the market, but not corporate because they don't pay on time. Now, the small folks often don't either, but they're small and you don't have to deal with purchasing departments and corporate insanity. Nothing worse than being on a service business on the other end of a corporation. Done it for years. Not great. So let's talk about how. How's important. But I got to give you the plumbing story. So we had a plumbing emergency. Google was not helpful. We got through it. We got the right person in the house, got the right plumber, collapsed drain tile in an old house. Hard to diagnose. Most people are hard to diagnose. Nobody wants to do that. It's too hard. It doesn't give you a nice passive income like a crab trap. Diagnosing. We figured out how to diagnose at scale because we're not doing it. They are. We're facilitating diagnosis. Finally got there. Years to learn how to do this. Years. Did it. Got there. Now you can diagnose yourself. You can't do that with people unless they're expert in what they're doing. And there's multiple areas of expertise, not just one hammer. Otherwise, that person has a confirmation bias towards their solution. Doesn't work. The plumber that we had doesn't have a confirmation bias towards his solution. So all of a sudden we have a fountain in the backyard, which is our new drain tile system. And I'm like, I can't even use the backyard anymore with the dogs because there's mud everywhere. So I called them up. They answer the phone. It's not a Google lead gen private equity owned company. It's a real plumber. And he's got skills and people. And they answer the phone. Wow. It's possible today to do that and make money. And he's like, I don't want to sell this to private equity. They're calling me all the time. Well, he wants to make $1 million or a couple million off it. He put the time in. He's a plumber. It's brutal. He loves it. And he cares about his people. And I'm like, there's another way to sell. And he got it. And he's like, I'm in for our home group, which is coming later. I can't do this right now, I'm told. I'm not even supposed to talk about it. What did he do? What did he do? We talked to a landscaper. And I said, is the landscaper better suited to figure this out? And he says, yes. He says, but I'll extend the pipe and I'm not going to charge you for it. Why? Because we have a relationship and we're not a nightmare client yelling at him because he did it wrong. He didn't do it wrong. He actually came into this old house, 1940, and he figured out the plumbing. Every single one of these old houses is a mess because they had different standard. They didn't have it. It's cool though. Old houses are cool. Plumbing in old houses, not so cool. Neither's the HVAC systems or the electric or anything. So now we got a landscaper and a plumber who can talk to each other because we got quality people. That's our new home group. Oh, it's going to be big. And real estate agents are going to sell it and make money. Wow. Not allowed to talk about it. Focus on product and being visible. I call that engagement. You need an engagement platform. Yes. You don't need a crab trap. That's a lie. Okay. Optimized content can distort your business identity, so don't do it. What is optimized content? Marketing-based content. 2, what your content is really telling you. My content told me what I thought because I let it out. I just told the story and I was like, wow, am I confused? I wasn't confused. I was confusing. Like, okay, people think it's confusing. Now I got to work on that. 3, how to spot the shift from expression to performance. Performance is, do they like me? Do they like it? Expression is, I love it. It feels connected to me. Now I'm an artist, not a marketer. Simple. How I use content as a tool for clarity, not just traction. I'm not thinking about the crab trap. I'm thinking about clarity and lining up in integrity my own cognitive biases and my own cognitive dissonance, because I got it too. Instead of using those mind tricks to get you in my crab trap so I can convert you so I have a passive income and the lifestyle I want. I'm going to show you a picture now. Now on the high end, on Substack, the LinkedIn top voice crowd, some of them, they're not top voices. They're more audience plus income people. The one-person business stuff, the solopreneur, the content creator, content as a product. You know what they just did on Substack? They brought back their old product model they don't like. In other words, spend time with me. They brought back spend time with me, which they closed the minute they could. Why? Because their sales are down. Now they're saying LinkedIn doesn't work. Substack is next. That's not true either. It's just different. You can make LinkedIn work. You just can't use the ways on LinkedIn that we used to work. You can't create an echo chamber feed Substack thing unless you're using the crab trap method. More people and higher quality in the market don't want to be in a crab trap. They don't want to pay for it. Plus, so much of this stuff's free. They're not going to pay as much for it. So the info market is not doing well unless what? Dan Kennedy said it. Whoever spends the most on media wins. How do you succeed? How do you become a millionaire? Start with $1 million. How did I become a millionaire, multimillionaire? According to the rules. It's not cash flow in the industry. Now they have some people in the industry, they're smart, financial advisory, trusted advisor, well, they'll say, $1 million in cash flow because I need the investable funds. You can't tie it up in real estate or stocks like I did, IRAs or whatever, because you can't give it to me. It's a little smarter. We're talking about net worth calculations. And Who cares? It's got nothing to do with you. Neither does my family. That's why I'm not using it for marketing. Look at the fancy pictures of the family, the lovable family. Run. You're in a crab trap. I'm giving you the signs to spot. I did 3 years ago in some articles, and I read them, and I'm like, it's still true. What I wrote that long ago, those old newsletters are still true. They're just confusing for people who aren't paying attention because they're in the crab trap thinking. Most people are. They just don't know it. You don't have to be, though. You can get free. I was in it for 3 years. Unbelievable. That's a long 150 grand. That's real money to not get a result. How to spot the shift from expression to performance. We talked about that. How I use content as a tool for clarity. I talked about it. A better way to create grounded, resonant, and truth of the AI. Oh, I forgot this part. I have to do a whole show on this AI. It's unbelievable. You can teach the AI to be creative, but it's a fight because it's not. It compromises to be liked.